Okay, we are ready to go. Good morning. We're ready to call the board meeting to order. It's Tuesday, October 21st, which is my father's birthday. He was passed, but it's a great day. And so welcome. We'll get the meeting started. Ms. Cicchetti, if you could please call the roll.
Good morning. Let's see here. We've got a couple things. Chairman Gaines,
Here.
Vice Chair Lieber. Here. Member Vasquez.
Present.
Mr. Schaefer has not arrived yet. And I could call, I believe, Controller Cohen, are you on the line? Okay. I don't see her or hear her. And Deputy Controller Emeron.
Present.
We will wait for
Great. If
her
we
to be
could-
present.
Please now do the Pledge of Allegiance. And,
Yes.
Thank you for all those that can stand, please. If you can, put your right hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, wonderful, thank you. So do we have the controller? Is the controller on?
I don't see, she's not responding yet. Is the,
Okay.
Ms. Cohen, are you present?
I think she'll be on in about like 5-10 minutes.
Okay, good, perfect, thank you.
Okay, great.
Good morning. I'm here, but I do need 10 minutes.
Great, thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Controller. Okay, a quorum is present, and we've already said the Pledge of Allegiance. This is an opportunity for opening remarks, and with members, starting with Mr. Vasquez.
Thank you, Chair Gaines. It's a great day in LA today, you know. Didn't think we were going to come back, but we did such a great job. Hopefully we repeat. So next time when I come out here, we'll have some more balloons or something going on here. But anyway, just wanted to open up with a couple things that are happening. Specifically, October is the Filipino American History Observance, which is nationally recognized by the U.S. Senate and Congress in 2009 to commemorate the arrival of the first Filipinos at Morro Bay in California on October 18, 1587. Today, Filipino Americans are the second largest Asian American group in the nation, and the largest Filipino community outside of Manila is in the Los Angeles area, which is my district. Filipino Americans have made countless invaluable contributions in the field of healthcare, civil rights, law, government, the arts, and more. October was also the birth month of the Filipino American labor leader, Larry, now I'm going to butcher this one, I believe is the pronunciation, who was an icon in the farm labor movement. The California Department of Education officially recognized October as the Filipino Heritage Month in 2006. And the Los Angeles County Board of Education designated October as the Filipino American History Month and encouraged all school districts to celebrate Filipino history, history and heritage. Congratulations to all the Filipino Americans. Second, I wanted to just bring up LGBTQ month is also in October. And I had the privilege of attending the Equity California award ceremony back in October the 4th there in LA with many of the legislators and constitutional officers and advocates in the community supporters who had the opportunity to be honored, and they had several inspirational leaders, organizations, and selfless nonprofits that have been doing a lot of work around this issue. And the third thing I wanted to bring up is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. I know it's happening throughout, you're seeing throughout the state. We had several events in my district. You know, some of them were like 10Ks and other fundraisers to raise awareness and to raise money. to try to combat this cancer that seems to be taking a lot of young lives. We've had several actually young electeds in my area over the years that have fallen to this tragic breast cancer. And the last thing I wanted to mention here is October is also National Women's Small Business Month, which honors the outstanding growth and accomplishments of women entrepreneurs and their vital role in our economy. The National Association of Women's Business Organization represents the interests of all women entrepreneurs across all industries, with chapters across the country, including one of the largest in Los Angeles. I wanted to publicly congratulate this group on their 50th anniversary this year, 2025. They've had a far-reaching impact in propelling women business owners and women entrepreneurs into significantly greater economic, social, and political spheres of power worldwide. And their work inspired federal legislation through the SBA to establish the Office of Women's Business Ownership that helps women entrepreneurs in business training, counseling, obtaining federal grants, and gaining access to credit and capital. These centers seek to still face unique obstacles in the business world, and I just want to congratulate them. With that, I'll turn it back to the chair. Thank you.
Wonderful. Vice Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is going to really break the hearts of progressives everywhere, but I did print out my opening comments and then didn't bring them with me.
Oh, shoot.
So suffice to say, I was planning on keeping them very brief anyways, because I know that we have a very robust agenda today. And we're going to be having our assessors up tomorrow, which is a real highlight of the year. And it's such a commitment for some of our assessors to come all this distance to meet with us. And so we're very thankful for that. And I'm just really proud of our state of California in the recent days. And I see so many of my constituents stepping up and participating in the process and being involved in city councils and our county board of supervisors, and also looking at what state government is doing and asking a lot of questions. And they have a real hunger for knowledge. And so it makes me very proud to be a Californian and also to have the privilege of being in public office. So those are just my comments with nothing written. Thank you so much.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Deputy Controller Emron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to good morning to all my colleagues and to the Executive Director and members of the public. I'll also be very brief, but I wanted to give a big shout out and a happy Diwali to many of those Californians that are celebrating. It's known as the Festival of Lights. It'll be taking place 5-6 days, and it follows many themes: light over darkness, good over evil, knowledge over ignorance. And in this past legislative session, the governor signed a bill to make Diwali an official state holiday. And I'm really eager to learn more about it. And I want to shout out our controller. I know she's online. She actually went to go down to a temple in Los Angeles and got to tour a temple and see and talk to people. And I think that's what makes California so beautiful, when you have so much beautiful diversity and great people, and to kind of learn and build bridges and respect cultures and continue to draw that bringing people closer together. Because in a world that's so divided, if California can be a good example for the rest of the world to follow, I think we can be very proud of that. So I want to thank you all, and happy Diwali to everyone that's celebrating.
Wonderful. And I don't know if Controller Cohen would like to speak to that or not, but I wanted to make sure if she did, she has an opportunity to do so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good morning, friends and colleagues. I want to just echo the tremendous, I don't know, I just feel so much gratitude to be a Californian. I do want to acknowledge Diwali. It's a beautiful time of year where the Hindu faith come together and they're celebrating a moment where they're gathering as a community, and they're celebrating, like Hasib said, lightness over dark, good over evil. And it's a moment of self-assessment and reflection. I enjoyed myself. I had a chance to attend the largest mandir, which is the name of their religious facility in Chino Hills on Sunday. And not only was it an educational experience, but it was just alive, vibrant, festive. And I have to tell you, the food was delicious. Delicious. So that is my report out. And I want to recognize Filipino Heritage Month and acknowledge those that have passed away since the last time our board convened. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Controller Cohen. And then I just wanted to make a couple of comments, if I could, with regard to our, we took a trailer trip with our truck, pulled our trailer. We were headed up to Wyoming, wanted to check out Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons. And unfortunately, we had a gust of wind that hit the trailer, and I lost control of the truck. And so we crashed, and the truck and the trailer are totaled. But I thank God that we were able to either walk or crawl out of the truck. And there were a lot of really great moments, even miraculous, I would say. We had 10 people pull over, 3 of which we had an EMT, a trauma nurse, and an ER nurse. And we got good medical care. And so I'm thankful for all that. But the one thing that I really want to focus on for each and every one of you is making sure that you have your emergency SOS set up on your phone. And we think that that was the only means of contact with the emergency services through dispatch, because all of the people, we were east of Mountain Home, and I remember when I was, when I got out of the truck, everybody around me says, call 911, call 911, and they said, we don't have any cell service. And I heard that over and over again. So if all you got to do is go to settings on your phone. Now I've got an Apple phone, and you just scroll down and you'll see emergency SOS, and you click on that and it asks you a couple of questions, but on the very bottom of that, it'll have emergency contacts. And so I had my wife, so I was calling her when we were both in the accident. That did not help, but it did go out to our daughters. So Katie and Haley both got it. Haley got it first. She called me, no answer. She called 911. And what was cool is because it's satellite, it also gives you the coordinates. So she knew exactly where we were, was able to convey that to the authorities. And it's just a lifesaver. And so I just want to get that word out, because I'm not sure everybody's, you know, and make sure there's a few folks, because maybe not everybody's going to answer at the same time. But we're just really grateful to be back, and we've got, we've recovered very, you know, probably not 100%, but we're in good shape. I had some staples and some stitches in my head here, but they seem to be healing well. And so it's a beautiful day. Yeah, so thank you for that opportunity just to share that with you. And why don't we move on here, if we could, to our first order of business, is the safety and informational announcements presented by Ms. Cicchetti.
Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to remind the audience to silence their cell phones and other wireless devices. Our safety announcement. In the auditorium, the exits are in the front on each side of the stage. Other exits are at the rear. Please take a moment to find the exit sign and location closest to you in the event of an emergency. Our informational announcement. The board meeting is live streamed to the public and posted on the BOE website. Public comments are taken on each agenda item. If there are any members of the public wishing to speak before the board on an agenda item in person, we ask that you complete and submit to the Sergeant of Arms a public comment appearance sheet located at the entrance of the auditorium. If you wish to speak before the board by telephone, please dial the phone number and access code provided on our public agenda notice and follow the instructions of the AT&T moderator. When giving public comment, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and we ask that all speakers in the auditorium and on the AT&T telephone line to state your name before the record. This concludes the safety and informational announcement. We also have some housekeeping to do. Controller Cohen is joining us today via Teams, and I have a brief statement that I have to read. If a member of the board attends a meeting by teleconference from a remote location, the member shall disclose whether any individuals 18 years or older are present in the room at the remote location with the member and the general nature of the member's relationship with such individual. Therefore, Controller Cohen, is there anyone 18 years of age or older present in the room at your remote location?
Yes, good morning, colleagues. I attest that I am alone and in a room by myself.
But you're with
Thank
us,
you.
and so
Thank you,
we're
Ms.
happy about that.
Thank you, Controller Cohen.
Absolutely.
Okay. Item 1, public matters, public comment on matters not on the agenda. People who wish to address the Board of Equalization regarding items not on the agenda may do so under this item. Please note that the board cannot act on items not on the agenda. However, the board can schedule issues raised by the public for consideration at future meetings. When giving your public comment, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Do we have anybody in the public who wants to come forward? Very good. So we don't have anyone in the auditorium who wishes to make a comment. And we will now move forward. Okay. And we don't have anybody on the AT&T?
Well, first, we're going to read, we have 2 items, Chairman, that were received in our public comment line, written comments
Okay,
that I'd like to read into the record.
that's right. Yeah, thank you.
All righty. Like I said, I have 2 written comments that were received on our public website that where people could make a comment, so I will read them into the record. The first one is from Cindy Bloom. AB 3074, climate change, is why we now have such destructive wildfires. To rip out trees and plants that absorb CO2 and emit oxygen that mitigate climate change is terrible, short-sighted solution. In fact, we need more plants and more trees to combat the source of the problem. Did you know that oak trees have a waxy substance on their leaves that actually extinguishes embers? Most fires are spread by embers. Would you like an ember to land on a tree that's barricading your house, or would you like them to land directly on your house because the tree was removed? If you look at photos of the after effects of wildfires that typically remains, trees. If these proposals are put into effect, we lose our tree canopy, which reduces temperatures 10 to 15 degrees and promote heat islands. Habitat for wildlife, lost shade of our homes, resulting in higher energy costs and more blackouts and brownouts. Not to mention the extreme cost of implementing these proposals. I'm for mitigating the spread of fires, but these are draconian measures that will, over time, lead to worsening fire conditions. I would be in favor of promoting well-hydrated vegetation, zone 0 with some modification, 5 feet clearance of tree branches from rooftops, and common sense measures, not ripping out 75-year-old trees. Can you imagine how crappy our area will look like according to these, let's face it, stupid requirements? I choose to live in a neighborhood not a moonscape, or perhaps implementing these changes only for new construction. That concludes our first public comment that was received. The second one is from Roxanne Green regarding September 18th, 2025 Zone 0 Agenda 2 and 3 Advisory Meeting in Pasadena. Please do not commit environmental rape of our neighborhoods. Driving in the San Fernando Valley today, I did not see even one home that could be in compliance with these drastic and destructive rules about vegetation. This is not how to solve wildfire problems. Money that could be spent upgrading and modernizing our fire departments would go instead to hosting the Olympics and subsidizing further neighborhood destruction by allowing multifamily developments in the midst of suburban sections of our cities. I will not live in this proposed dry desert with hardly any trees and no cooling foliage near my house. I do not believe those who drew up the regulations have any true knowledge of microclimates or effective fire control. The insurance companies and California Fair Plan will want to limit their requirements to honor insurance claims. Property owners with mortgages are stuck because they have to carry insurance. The only answer for most folks will be to move out of California to a more reasonable location where there will be better chances that taxpayers have a voice and government do better about providing the services for which they charge us. That concludes the written comments that we received.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. And,
Thank you.
Appreciate people's comments and staying active and engaged. And we do have a crisis in California from a wildfire perspective. And I think the explanations we heard sounds like they were from Southern California, maybe the Palisades fires, I should say. But certainly in my neck of the woods, we need some tree thinning. And we need to make sure we develop those aprons in the interface between rural and urban. So, yes, please. Member.
Yes, thank you, Chair Gaines. And I know you're in the thick of it, especially in your district. You probably have a lot more wildfires and actually more prone to these fires. And I know we probably can't get into this issue much, but I was going to just suggest, because I know a lot of these complaints or concerns, I should say, or comments are coming from my district right now, in light of the 2 fires we had in my district. So I'd be open to, if the board, maybe down the road, put together a hearing on this so we can get into some of this. Because at the end of the day, it will have some implication on property tax moving forward. And I don't know if that's appropriate to bring up now or just agendize it later.
Yeah, Mr. Moon.
Richard Moon, Chief Counsel. Yeah, you're correct. You can discuss whether you'd like to put it on an agenda for the future and then discuss it in detail then.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I just put it out there. If there's interest, I'd be willing to work on something like that. And I know, I'm not in the rural districts, and I know for you and actually for Vice Chair Lieber too, I'm sure you have a lot of pockets up in your district that probably have more, are more prone to some of these disasters, because it seems like we're gonna see these more often now.
Yes. Yeah, I've been impressed with CAL FIRE
Yeah.
with their
They did a
emergency
great job.
response. I witnessed 3 fires where they got up in the air and got those fires out so quickly. It was really encouraging to see that. And we had it's still October.
I know.
But we had a pretty good summer up in my area, and I pray that continues for the state. So, wonderful. Okay. So we can now move on to,
We need to go to the AT&T moderator
Oh,
first.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, not a problem.
yes, AT&T moderator, please let us know if anyone is on the telephone line.
If you would like to make a comment or have a question, please press 1 then 0. And at this time, there are no comments.
All right, great, wonderful, thank you. We will now move on to item number 2, property tax appeal, non-appearance consent matters. Non-appearance consent matters will be taken by one vote. This matter is a constitutional function. Contribution disclosure forms are not required pursuant to Government Code 15626. This item will be presented by Mr. McCool. And is it my understanding that we're not supposed to comment on these?
That is correct.
Yes, okay, very good, thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Gaines and honorable members of the board. My name is Jack McCool, Chief of the State Assessed Properties Division. Before you today are 4 petitions for your consent. As reflected on today's agenda, there is 1 petition for penalty abatement, 2 petitions for reassessment of 2025 unitary value, and 1 petition that is both for a reassessment of 2025 unitary value and penalty abatement. In all of these matters, SAPD staff and representatives for the petitioners were able to work collaboratively to resolve the issues raised in the petitions. The petitioners were cooperative during the process and provided staff with additional information and data that was requested. As a result, SAPD staff and the petitioners are in agreement on the recommendations before you, and I ask for your adoption of the joint recommendations. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Members, would anyone like to make a motion on this item?
So moved.
Okay, wonderful. And do we have a second? Wonderful, thank you. We don't have any written comments on this item, and
We
I
do
don't
not.
think there's anybody in the auditorium. Thank you. Let's go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone's on the telephone line would like to make a public comment on this item.
If you have a comment, please press 1, then 0. And at this time, there are no comments.
Thank you, moderator. Members, is there any discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion made by Member Vasquez to approve the property tax matters with Vice Chair Lieber seconding. Let's see, Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines,
Oh, aye?
Vice Chair Lieber,
Aye.
Member Vasquez,
Aye.
Member Schaefer, not here. Controller Cohen.
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you, members. The following item is board member matters. Item number 3, 2026 Intangibles Board Work Group proposal presented by Controller Cohen and Deputy Controller Emron. And if they could please make their presentation.
All right, good morning. I'm going to start us off this morning. Honorable members, as you know, one of the board's core duties is to ensure that the practices and procedures of county assessors and assessment appeals boards are uniformly applied throughout the state. This proposal before you today seeks to establish a 2026 board work group to further uniformity in the methods of valuing intangible assets and rights. During the August 27th, 2024 annual Taxpayers Bill of Rights hearing, the board heard several hours of testimony from taxpayers and taxpayer organizations regarding concerns about certain property tax assessment procedures, including the methods of valuing intangible assets and rights. There are a multitude of methods for valuing intangible assets and rights. Each have their strength and frankly, each have a weakness. However, there are inconsistencies from county to county as to how intangible assets and rights are valued. Requests were made for the board to address these concerns. The concept of the board establishing a new work group to focus on this issue was suggested for the purpose of facilitating full discussion and developing solutions in the coming year. So as such, I propose that the board approve the convening of a board working group to explore these methodologies and create recommendations based on findings. Please note that the section of the BOE Assessor's Handbook 502, which we're probably all very familiar with, this section is regarding the treatment of intangible assets and rights and has not been updated since 1998, which is 27 years ago. And since then, the California Supreme Court and the California Court of Appeals have both rendered several decisions regarding intangible assets and rights. So specifically, I want to ask that the 2026 Intangible Board of I want to ask that the 2026 Board of Equalization Work Group be tasked with addressing the developing possible solutions to inconsistency in the methods of valuing intangible assets and rights. And we will convene, and through exploration and development of solutions, we will do this as a work group. This work group should be designed to provide guidance to county assessors, as well as the AAB clerks, to taxpayers and taxpayer organizations. So therefore, it is proper and timely for the Board of Equalization to update the Board of Equalization Assessor's Handbook to reflect those court decisions. In terms of scheduling, this proposal requests the board to consider convening this intangible work group on the following dates: April, June, September, and October of 2026 to work through all of the issues identified by the work group. And then in November of 2026 to finalize recommendations to be then made public. This proposal requests that the Intangibles Work Group make recommendations to the board on or before November of 2026. And colleagues, I'm asking for your aye vote on this matter. Thank you.
Great.
Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Controller Cohen. Members, we've had this presentation, and I think, would someone like to make a motion? It would basically establish a 2026 Intangible Board Work Group. Questions, please. Yeah.
Thank you. I just have a question of staff. So what, when the proposed board work group creates findings, and those turn into recommendations to the board, then would staff be providing comments at that time? Or how would that work exactly?
Good morning, Richard Moon, Chief Counsel. I think that would really be up to how the board wants to run the work group. Typically, what's happened is that at the, I guess both sides, for lack of a better way to put it, will sort of put in their wish list, the language that they would like, for example, if it's an update to a handbook, and then staff will look at that language and provide comments so that the board can see staff's thoughts before they actually vote on any particular version of a handbook or language or anything else that the work group might develop. So typically, staff should get a look at whatever is being proposed for the board to adopt.
Okay, great, thank you.
May I, before
Yes, please.
I want to just
Controller Cohen.
something. I to correct that we will not be having a October working group meeting of next year. Just April, June, and September.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Reflect.
So that's
Okay,
three
it.
meetings that's being proposed.
Yep.
Any further questions? I'd like to welcome Member Schaefer. Good to see you. Glad you're here.
Yes, Sorry to be a little late. We had fog in San Diego.
Yes, and you had mentioned that there was an issue, so thanks for letting me know. I appreciate that. But just, Member Schaefer, we're on item 3, which is the 2026 Intangible Board Work Group. And we're just talking about having meetings 3 times a year to provide clarity on this issue. And we're looking for a motion, and this would basically establish a 2026 Intangible Board Work Group. So do we have a motion, or?
Can I make some comments first?
Yes,
And
we
then-
got.
Yes.
got a
And
motion from-
and maybe,
Vice Chair.
since we have the controller here, she might want to weigh in on some. First, I wanted to thank you, Member Cohen, for bringing this back to us, because I know this was something that we discussed way back when we were doing the first Taxpayers' Bill of Rights last year. And it came up, and we really weren't able to get into a lot of the nitty-gritty of it because there was a case pending. It happened to involve in my district, which was the Olympic Georgia Partners versus the County of Los Angeles. And that's just recently was settled for the most part. And so I think it's very appropriate now, based on that settlement, making some adjustments and possibly some LTAs, as we hear from all the respective interested parties. And I was just wondering, and I think the controller mentioned, the handbook 502, which addresses intangibles, hasn't been updated. I guess it's been like 25 years or something like that. And Moon could probably attest to that a little bit more. It's been a while. Is that true?
Since 1998,
90, right?
98.
Or 98, which is about over 25
Yeah,
years.
27 years?
Yeah. So, I think it's definitely appropriate to move this forward. And listening, I was going to move to set this thing up in April, but it sounds like the controller is proposing that we maybe set aside 3 possible meetings. It looks like, according to your opening remarks, you're looking at April, June, and September?
That's correct. And we will have a finalized report before November, before the end of all of our term.
So what I was going to suggest, and I don't know if this is friendly, but maybe, especially those 3 months and maybe another month in there, is to, as you're looking at the agendas, as we always forecast, for the whole year of 26, is to add second days to a lot of these meetings, because it's probably easier to take them off the books than to put them on, since we don't control this auditorium. So I was wondering if
Yeah,
it would be
that's a good point.
appropriate to include that, so we could set those dates, so we're not trying to figure out what day we're going to meet.
The dates that the controller has identified, those months are 2-day meetings.
There are 2 days already.
Okay,
Okay,
good. That's great. And so is that a second?
sure.
Are you done?
And the only other thing I was going to mention is, well, actually, she touched on it, and Moon came back up here. I think we're good. Yes, no, I think we're good, since we're adding the second days, and it looks like, I was going to start with April, but it sounds like it's good to set up at least possibly 3 hearings on this.
Okay,
Yes, I'm good.
good. So we have a motion made by Vice Chair Lieber and a second by Member Vasquez. We'll now open it up to public comment. And why don't we start with Mark Aprea with the California Alliance of Taxpayer Advocates, CATA.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, State Controller Cohen, thank you very much for the opportunity to appear before you, and thank the State Controller for making this proposal. We're here in support of this proposal. As has been pointed out, it's been 27 years since the Assessor's Handbook has been updated on this particular item. There have been significant court cases subsequent to 1998 that now have rendered decisions yet we find that the treatment of intangibles is inconsistent throughout the state. And while intangibles are not limited to hotels, hotels are a big part of the effect of the intangibles policy of the state of California. And as you know, tourism is a big part of the state's economy. So this is not simply from a taxpayer's or taxpayer advocate's perspective, but from the infrastructure that supports the hotel industry. We also want to support the proposal made by the state controller in addressing this in 2026, recognizing that we want this to be concluded before the next class of the BOE comes in, so that we, in terms of the BOE work group recommendations, so that there is consistency in that. We also noted that there are board members who are concerned about work groups going on forever, and we recognize that there needs to be finality to this. And it also requires all of us to be fully engaged. So with that, I commit that CADA will be fully committed to engaging with the state controller and her staff, with the BOE and with other interested parties to ensure a successful work group, that the issues are vetted, and that a good and solid body of recommendations are made to the state board. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
If I could, just can you talk about the intangible nature of hotels? Because you
Yes.
brought that up as an example.
Yes, sir.
What is it that is, where's the difficulty lie with respects to appraisal of hotels?
Well, so the assessor has the duty and obligation to identify, value, and remove the intangibles from a particular property. Okay. It is not limited to hotels, but that is certainly an area. And so there are issues of goodwill. There are other issues that were raised in the Olympic and Georgia Partners case that address issues of, the hotel occupancy tax that was revenue that was received in order to pay back the subsidy that had been provided to allow that hotel to be sited there. Okay. So there are all kinds of things that go that are in addition to the value of the land and the value of the improvements that cannot be and should not be made a part of the value of the property.
Very good.
So we have folks who have been involved in this issue, both as practitioners, people who've engaged in the appraisal process and so forth, that we are committed to bringing forward to this work group so that we can participate, and we look forward to a robust discussion with the assessors and other interested parties so that the assessor's handbook can be updated.
Great. That's wonderful. Members, other questions? Member Schaefer.
Yes, I'm concerned that it's gone 27 years without a updating of the handbook. I was wondering if we could just have some kind of policy where every 20 years, all of our material will be reviewed, where there's been litigation and, as they point out, cases, that affected. I don't think we should have to wait 27 years for that to happen. It should be done like clockwork, if not every decade, at least every 20 years. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Okay, other comments? All right, well, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Frey, appreciate that. Let's see, Jesse Lee, California Taxpayers Association. Did I pronounce your first name correct? You might have to help me.
It's pronounced JC.
JC.
It's spelled
Thank
a little
you.
bit wonky, so completely
Okay.
understandable mistake.
All right.
Good morning, Chair Gaines and members of the board. My name is JC Lee, and I'm a policy analyst at the California Taxpayers Association. Thank you so much for the opportunity to comment on this agenda item. And on behalf of the California Taxpayers Association, I would like to express my support for agenda item 3. To echo Controller Cohen's earlier comments, we believe that this marks an important step forward from the concerns that were expressed at the annual Taxpayers Bill of Rights hearings. For the past 2 years, the board has heard about the inconsistencies between counties on the valuation of intangible assets and rights. These inconsistencies are worsened by an out-of-date assessor's handbook, which hasn't been revised since 1998. While the issue of valuing intangible assets is incredibly complex, court cases like the one Member Vasquez mentioned and many others over the past 27 years demonstrate the timeliness of completing a review of the assessor's handbook. This work group, which will include technical experts and representatives from local government, will ensure that the handbook is updated with nuance and that assessors across the state remain in compliance with court decisions. We are happy to support the proposal in agenda item 3 and remain prepared to engage with the work group. Thank you.
Great, wonderful. Thank you, J.C. Lee. Any comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to our next speaker, Matthew Reckela with Ernst & Young. Did I pronounce your name right?
Raquela.
Raquela.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
thank
close.
you. Thank you.
Most people do not get that right, so
Okay.
thank you for attempting, and thank you for board for allowing me to speak, and also Ms. Cohen for presenting this item. I didn't come prepared with any comments before, so I'm going to keep this brief, but I just wanted to state that I'm in support for the board working group. I can attest to many of the things Ms. Cohen has pointed out in her brief presentation, that there is a significant inconsistency between the counties on how intangibles are assessed, and even between the State Board of Equalization and the counties. I've been doing property tax for about 15 years, and I've worked for state assessed entities, which are assessed here by the board, and also with many of the counties. And there's even a discrepancy and an inconsistency between how the board, State Assessed Properties Division handles things and the county, even when the statute's clear that a certain intangible is exempt for both types of entities. We see that inconsistency. And there's reasons for that. It's very difficult to value intangible assets, especially at the county level. There's, in my opinion, a lot of inexperience when valuing intangibles because it's just not something that comes up routinely. So with that, I'll finish up and just say that I support the board working group, and thanks for your time.
Great, thank you, Matthew Raquela. All right, I think that's, any other speakers? Not seeing any. Do we have, has anybody written in?
No written
Email or
comments.
anything? Okay. Let's go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone's on the telephone line and would like to speak in reference to this matter on the agenda.
If you have a question or a comment, please press 1, then 0. And at this time, there are no comments.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Members, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. Vice Chair Lieber has made a motion to move to establish a 2026 Intangible Board Work Group with Member Vasquez seconding. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber,
Aye.
Member Vasquez.
Do we need to list the months that we're meeting, or no? Because we're setting dates, right? We're
I don't
setting
think they
3
need to
different
be
meetings, right?
included, do they? I think it's clear.
That's
I
clear?
think we're
That's
okay.
understood? Okay.
Yeah.
Aye.
Member Schaefer,
Aye.
Controller Cohen.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. Thank you, members.
Thank you,
Controller
colleagues.
Cohen, too. Yes, appreciate it. We're now going to move on to item 4, And this is the property tax reform and a review of the legal entity ownership program, LEOP, informational hearing proposal. Vice Chair Lieber is presenting this item, and I'm wondering if there are any comments. I am concerned about this item being brought forward, and my concern is that I don't think that we should be looking at trying to create a legislative pathway for a tax-related issue. I think if we just want to find out about LEOP and how it operates, I think that's fine in terms of understanding how it functions, but my concern is that if we are going beyond that and advocating for what may end up being legislation that we're getting out of our lane.
Chairman Gaines, I apologize, but the item hasn't been called yet, so maybe we can call the
Okay.
item and then continue the discussion.
Sure,
Sorry.
let's do that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and if I could suggest, if perhaps Ms. Lieber could introduce the item since it's hers, and then you
Absolutely.
continue with your comments.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair Lieber, would you like to go ahead and bring this item forward?
Should we have staff announce the item?
We could do it. The item is item number 4, property tax reform and a review of the legal entity ownership program, LEOP, informational hearing proposal presented by Vice Chair Lieber.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, this is a request to hold a brief hearing at our December 16th board meeting to review some of the successes of the LEOP program since it was last discussed at this board, and to talk about the rebuilding of the LEOP function within the BOE, to discuss how the puzzle pieces of LEOP fit together across the multiple entities that are involved, and to talk about the effectiveness at conducting those examinations. This is something that has come up a lot in recent days from my constituents who want to know what the process is, how effective is it, how are we ensured that businesses are paying their fair share, and to receive information about other methodologies for looking at ownership changes. And I think it's very salient to the times that we're in. I note from some of the academic institutions out there that business has gone from, or rather homeowners have gone from being in the low 50 percentile of the contributors to our overall property tax to carrying 70% plus of the load of contributing to our property tax revenues in California. And many young families that are recent homeowners are paying a great deal more than commercial entities that are nearby them. And they would like to have more information on how those examinations are going on. So that's what we're intending to do with this. I did receive the letter last night from Caltax. I think that we've all received that. And as we all know, any changes involving Prop 13 are made within the legislature and then submitted to the voters. But what we're attempting to talk about here is how do the programs work, and what are some of the academic partners seeing in terms of the data and methodologies that would be complementary to the current revenue and taxation code. So I'd like to ask for your aye votes on it, and would love to hear other commentary.
Okay, are there comments from other board members? Mr. Schaefer?
Member
Yes,
Gaines, or Chair Gaines, why don't you continue with your comments? You piqued my interest and you kind of stopped mid-thought, so I thought maybe you could.
Well, my concern is that we shouldn't be legislating with, as members of the Board of Equalization, we're charged with implementing policy. And if we have an informational hearing, it should be informational in nature and not, my fear would be is that this is setting up an argument to attack Prop 13, and I don't even think we have the jurisdiction to do that. I don't think that that's in our purview. We've had informational hearings in the past, we've even done it on Prop 15, which was an attack on Prop 13, and I'm real clear on it. I was in opposition of that, but that was an initiative that was on the ballot, that signatures had been gathered, and it was imminent. There was going to be an election, and it was informational in nature. We had people from both sides of the issue speak to it. I see this as being proactive and not falling into our purview as members of the Board of Equalization. So do you have any comments,
I'm curious
Controller?
if I have thoughts. I don't know if I want to turn those thoughts into comments
Okay.
just
okay.
yet.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Some of the things that you said,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. I do have some reservations. Now, for the last, I don't know how long we've been sitting on this body for a while, have been aggressive on protecting the integrity of the Board of Equalization, protecting our scope of work, ensuring that we stay in our lane, making sure that we're complying with all the rules. This proposal gives me a little discomfort because I do feel like we are stepping into the lane of the legislature and legislating, discussing very complex topic that might be a little bit beyond our staff's ability to tackle such an issue. But the other half of that coin is that I see Sally Lieber's, the vice chair's perspective, and respect her desire to get things done, to move the conversation forward. But as of right now, my uncomfortability will not allow me to support this today. Those are my comments. Not the most articulate comment that I have ever offered on this body, but those are my thoughts. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. Member Schaefer, I think you would.
yes, I was interested in if we did have a program on it, what speakers would be involved to add to it. And also, I'm impressed that we've had conventions recently of our assessors, both Northern California and Southern California, put on by Member Vasquez. They had an opportunity to discuss this issue in their various meetings? If so, I'd like to know what was said and what was resolved before I would go forward here.
Okay, all right. Other comments, Member Vasquez?
Yes, I'm open to this if we're talking just about a hearing. It sounds like we just want to hear I'm not familiar with, what all the ins and outs of LEOP is doing or has done. And I hear your concerns in terms of making sure that we don't get into this other lane of legislating or working on legislation. But and I don't know if the vice chair is open to this, but if we're talking about a hearing just to find out about it and to get some input and for us to be able to have a discussion, I'd be open to that.
Okay, all right. I'm wondering if we could get clarity in terms of I'm just wondering what, from the BOE's perspective, what can we do? I mean, I expressed what I thought we could do, so I'd just like clarity from you.
And Mr. Chair, can I also ask that Vice Chair Lever wrote a really strong memo to us, but wanted to make sure that the Vice Chair has an opportunity to also opine and talk in this discussion.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
hear your thought, motivations, and preferred outcomes, or I just want to hear from her.
You bet, absolutely, thank you.
Thank
Mr. Moon.
Richard Moon, Chief Counsel again. So as you know, the board's authority and responsibilities are laid out in the Constitution and then as well in the government code in 15600 specifically. And so as sort of a summary way to, or a way to summarize those responsibilities is for the assessment and equalization of property taxes. And sometimes that may include, as your board has done, supporting legislation that, for example, discusses a way to administer the current law. And so I think that that type of discussion, that type of informational hearing would certainly be appropriate. As well, sort of traditionally, the informational hearings have been more broad than the work groups, and the work groups have been a little bit more broad than the actual work product that's come out. And so I suppose the difficulty may be that for informational hearings and deciding whether to have one or not, sometimes you have to hear the information to know whether that's something that you do want to work on, that you can work on. And if you don't hear that information, then you don't know. And so I think that's one of the reasons why traditionally the informational hearings have been more broad. In terms of actually legislating, as Chairman Gaines had pointed out, Prop 15 was a little bit different because it was a current initiative at the time that the board had a hearing on it. I think sort of a broader ways to generate revenue or legislate certainly I think would not fall within the constitutional duties of the board or the government code. But I think having a discussion on the operation of our legal entity program, about interpretation of current law, about whether our interpretations might need some change or some refinement, how it's affecting the counties, how it's affecting our LEOP group. Those kinds of questions I think certainly would be legitimate.
Great, thank you. Members, any other questions? And we'll go to Vice Chair Lee.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question, and actually, I suppose it is appropriate that I direct it to the Vice Chair. I was wondering, would a member of the legislature take part in this informational hearing that you envision?
I hadn't envisioned that. What I'm primarily interested in, this answers Mr. Schaefer's question as well, in terms of speakers, is that the bulk of the hearing would be focused on our staff. I'm sorry, I see our executive officer going, okay, I'm just finding this out. But I think that given that we haven't had a hearing about this function of the BOE since 2019, and much has happened since then, I think that we have a real success story in terms of the effectiveness of the BOE to tell. I'd like to also have some of the academics working in this area. I think 1 to 2, given that what I'm proposing would be like a 90-minute hearing, to talk about what they see statistically in terms of taxes in California. And I think it might be a little too political to have perhaps one member of the legislature, but it's a suggestion that's worth discussing, and perhaps committee staff from the legislature, a chief consultant. I'd also like to have the Assessors Association speaking to it, because they are among the primary players in the system of examining changes in legal ownership, legal entity ownership.
Okay. Any other comments? Any other suggestions on how to proceed forward? My concern remains the same, and that is, are we basically setting up a platform for legislation to change Prop 13? Or are we looking at the LEOP program just in terms of what it does?
Good question.
And Mr. Chair, if I might chime in on that?
Yes.
I know that we have 2 months until the December hearing.
Okay.
And should the board wish to schedule the hearing now, I'd be happy to give the board a progress report at our November hearing. And then have a more cohesive list of speakers and timing and et cetera. And I think that in the Caltex letter, there was the comment made about there is public reporting of when entities change, but I have not seen a compiled view of how that system works that is digestible by our constituents. Our constituents are not going to be interested in seeing a breakout of just strictly numbers. But how does the machine of state government work in this regard, I think is very, very salient. And frankly, in the times that we're in, I think that local entities like schools, special districts, cities, counties, et cetera, are acutely interested in revenue and what are the rules and where is revenue coming from. So I'd be more than happy to give the board an update and to make that an action item for November. If the board wants to give all thumbs down at that time, then that's fine with me. I never shy away from a vote.
Okay. I'm wondering if we could, maybe we could work collaboratively in terms of what the content of the informational hearing would be for our next meeting, and then we could bring that up for a vote. I would rather see if we could work on something collaboratively in terms of how we look at LEOP and remain, within our lane in terms of what we can do at the BOE and then bring it forward. Is that something you'd be open to, that we could work, the members could work with you? We could also work with Yvette Stowers and Richard Moon in terms of making sure that we're falling in terms of falling within our purview as members of the BOE.
Just a comment, and I see staff kind of holding the table. They're holding the tables. I think that we would have a Bagley-Keene problem in that respect, and I am very strict on Bagley-Keene. If you come into my home, you see the preamble to the Bagley-Keene Act on my wall. So I'm very, very strict about that. But I think if I might make a motion and sort of put some parameters on the motion, if I could try that, to move that we schedule an informational hearing regarding the legal entity ownership program and functions relating to changes in legal entity ownership in California.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Discussion? We have a second? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. And how about discussion? Anybody want to make any comments?
I think we should go first. Our normal course of business is to go out to the public first before there's more continued discussion on the board members.
Thank you. Great. So we do have someone in the audience that would like to comment. That is J.C. Lee with the California Taxpayers Association.
Good morning, Chair Gaines and members of the board. Thank you for having me back. Once again, my name is J.C. Lee and I'm with CalTax. I just want to clarify our position with this hearing. We don't take issue with the general oversight of LEOP, but our specific issue with this request is that it raises legislative issues in the hearing requests that were in the agenda item. In the agenda item, it lists things like establishing a rebuttable presumption, and we believe that this falls outside of the BOE's constitutional scope to administer and oversee local property tax administration. The establishment of a rebuttable presumption is an issue that the legislature has attempted to address with Assemblymember Tom Amiano, who led the charge expressing his intent to quote-unquote nuke Prop 13. The legislature's Proposition 13 implementation task force already determined how we should handle ownership changes, and the BOE's involvement in establishing a rebuttable presumption would risk not only encroaching into the legislature's authority, but also as a result, politicizing tax administration. To respond to Vice Chair Lieber's earlier concerns, if the BOE is concerned about the efficacy of LEOP, its intended guardrails have already been put to the test successfully. In the BOE's 2025 survey of Kern County, the board found inadequacies in the county's change in ownership program for legal entities. Kern County was able to revise its system to better track changes and impose penalties for those who fail to report in a timely manner. Separately, assessors can also use Form BOE-100-BR to conduct additional audits and investigations of legal entity ownership changes. The system has been tested and used to improve the administration of this program, so it's unclear what would necessitate this hearing. If the board has resources for a new project, they should be put to use elsewhere for the reasons stated earlier. Some potential priorities could be the intangible effort proposed in Agenda Item 3, improving the uniformity of assessment appeal filing deadlines in all 58 counties, training local assessment appeals board members to ensure uniformity in assessment throughout the state, and efforts to update business property valuation tables to reflect changes in technology. These are all administrative issues that fall within the BOE's constitutional scope that would improve a uniform and fair tax administration across the state that in turn every single taxpayer would benefit significantly from. Thank you for your consideration and for your continued commitment to maintaining an impartial property tax system.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions or comments that you'd like to make in reference to J.C. Lee? Yes.
Well, I received the letter from CalTax last night, and I very much appreciate receiving it because it was substantive, and I look forward to working with CalTax. I do believe that examining the mechanisms of how we administer the current rev and tax code are within the purview of the board, and we have not had a hearing on this since, well, for more than 6 years, and things have really changed in the past 6 years for this board and for California overall. We've had the impact of the pandemic. We've had a lot of rebuilding at the BOE, and I do think that we have a success story around that to tell. And also, I count it as part of my charge as a board member to be doing public education for my constituents about how our tax system works and whether it's being as effective as it can be or not. It sounds like the items that CalTax finds most difficult to contemplate are not included in my motion. So that's a good thing from the perspective of working together. But I do look forward to continuing to work with Caltax. And perhaps if we can work it in, having Caltax speak at a proposed hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful, thank you, I appreciate that. The question I keep coming back to, though, is it going to just provide clarity on LEOP? So is that what are we asking for the hearing so that we could have clarity in terms of how it functions, how LEOP functions? And if it goes beyond that scope, I don't know how I could support that. Because we are not legislators. Yeah, do we? Yes, thank you. AT&T moderator? If you could please let us know if, is anybody on the line that would like to speak on this issue on the agenda?
If you have questions or would like to speak on this agenda item, please press 1 then 0 at this time. You'll hear an indication you've been placed in queue, and you may remove yourself from queue by repeating the 1 then 0 command. At this time, we have no one queuing up.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Members,
Yes,
is
sir.
there any discussion? Yes.
Could we
Mine's
hear
just-
the motion?
Oh, go
one
ahead.
more?
Go ahead, Controller.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez. I just wanted to hear what the motion was. I feel like
That's
it's gotten lost.
That's a good
Okay.
question, since I was speaking kind of extemporaneously, but
Sure.
perhaps staff can repeat it for me.
Yes, I can. Yes, the motion was made by Vice Chair Lieber, was seconded by Mr. Vasquez. The motion was to schedule an information hearing regarding LEOP and functions relating to changes in LEOP in California.
Okay. If I could get clarity from Richard Moon in terms of, does that fall under the purview of our authority as members of the BOE?
I think stated that way, it certainly could.
Okay. All right. So we could, in terms of any agenda that would be set up for this meeting, that would involve consultation with you as our legal counsel.
Yes, we could certainly do that. And Ms. Lieber is absolutely correct. The board as a whole, all 5 members would not be able to have discussions outside of a public meeting. But you would be able to consult with the executive director, with me, and as chair of the board and chair of this potential information hearing, the 2 of you could do that as well.
Okay. All right. Very good. And so you would work with me in terms of this presentation and making sure that we follow the our guidelines and purview for the BOE?
Well,
Vice Chair Lieber?
I've actually spoken to another board member about the proposal. And so under Bagley-Keene, we would not be able to talk outside of a meeting.
Yes, that's correct then.
But I've offered to bring it back in November for a taste test. And I think that's pretty unprecedented when all we're trying to get is a brief informational hearing. But I do understand the sensitivities around it. And so if we bring it back in that public meeting, then we can all have that taste test and say, I really don't like this. This was not what you committed to going forward.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that. We would bring it back. We'd have clarity at the next meeting in terms of what the agenda was and who the speakers would be. And then we'd vote on that again.
Well,
is that what we're proposing?
With input from staff, I think I can bring back the proposed schedule of the brief hearing. And I'm not sure that I would have the exact name, but I could say an individual from USC, whether it be this professor or that professor. And so the board would be able to see the topics. And that way, we are keeping faith with Bagley Keene in terms of doing our work in a very public and transparent way, so that we don't leave anyone with the impression that we've been log rolling behind the scenes or any type of thing that wouldn't be congruent with that.
Yeah, I just don't feel comfortable with that. Because I think that expands beyond what our duties are as members of the BOE in terms of an explanation of what LEOP is. So any further comments?
If I may offer an alternative, another alternative would be to not vote on the issue today, but bring it back in November with Ms. Lieber's additional information, and then just take the vote in November for potential hearing in December. That would be another option.
Okay, any input from members on that suggestion?
I'm good either way. I'll leave it up to the vice chair, because at the end of the day, November, you can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, so.
Okay, okay. Controller Cohen, would you like to weigh in on this?
Yes, I'm in agreement. Bring it, Philip, bring it back to us in November.
Okay, all right, Member Schaefer?
The argument of the lady who was she from Caltex, it's just not needed. So I'm skeptical of it at this time, but so if we're going to decide it today, I will not support it. If it is kicked down the road a little bit, then there might be a chance.
Yeah, okay. All right, it looks like we're comfortable with having you bring it forward next month, and then we'll vote on it at that time.
Certainly appreciate your time, members.
Great, thank you. Ms. Cicchetti, would this be an appropriate time for a break? All right, 10 minutes? Okay, so we'll come back at 11:36. All right, thank you. All right, members, we're back from our break. Okay. All right, we're back from our break. It is now 11:39. And the next item on the agenda is board member matters. Item 5, property tax welfare exemption and affordable housing financing and streamlining options informational hearing report. This item is being presented by member Vasquez.
Thank you, Chair Gaines, for allowing me to explore this topic. Back in August, we heard recommendations from the UC Berkeley Turner Center and the California Housing Partnership about options to use the welfare exemption to incentivize affordable housing development by streamlining the current welfare exemption administration process and/or broadening eligibility for the exemption. We heard about practices in other states and real-life success stories in California which put the welfare exemption to good use in building housing which is actually affordable. Some of the recommendations we heard about would require legislative change, but could hold some real promise as the state continues to look for ways to incentivize real affordable housing. We need to work with the county assessors on exploring some of the recommendations, such as, one, whether third-party certification can expedite the process of income verification for tenants in affordable housing. Two, starting the approval process for welfare exemption earlier in the development financing process to provide certain to the developers and investors. And three, expanding the income limits eligible for full or partial welfare exemptions. With that, I welcome any questions and comments on this report and would move for the board to accept the report so that there's an official record of the hearing, which can be distributed to the speakers and accessed by the public. With that, let me turn it to our board members and back to our chair.
All right, thank you. Members, would anyone like to make a motion on this item?
I'll go ahead and move it, then if there's a second.
Okay.
I would move to accept the report on the
All right.
property tax welfare exemption and affordable housing financing and streamlining options informational hearing.
Wonderful. We have a motion and we have a second. Thank you. All right, we're now going to go to public comment. We don't have any written comments, do we?
No. Could you repeat who the second was?
That was Vice Chair Lieber.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And, okay, so we're now going to go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone is on the telephone line and would wish to comment on this agenda item.
If you have a comment, please press 1, then 0. And at this time, there are no comments.
Okay. Thank you, moderator. We have Member Vasquez has made a motion to accept the informational hearing report. We have a second by Vice Chair Lieber. Ms. Cicchetti, if you could please call the roll.
All righty. Chairman Gaines.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber.
Aye.
Member Vasquez.
Aye.
Member Schaefer.
Aye.
Deputy Controller Emron.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. Thank you, members. We'll now move to item number 6, and this is workforce housing by public agencies, informational hearing report, and this is being presented by Member Schaefer.
For their presentations that made it a worthwhile hearing. And I want to thank my colleagues for all their questions and discussions. The central question is how California can support the preservation and perpetuity of affordability. And it seems to me that a big part in helping our public workers live in the communities they serve is enabling agencies to hold on to their properties and provide these benefits for their staff and the public. I hope the BOE can be a partner in all of this conversation going forward, and I pledge my support, and I'm sure that I'll have yours. And I'd recommend that you approve the report.
Wonderful. Okay, members, are there any comments on this item? Member Vasquez.
Yes, thank you, Chair Gaines. And I just wanted to thank Member Schaefer for bringing this thing back, especially, anything we can do on the affordable housing front. And I know this one was more emphasized on teachers and faculty. Many of these young professionals that are coming into the field, while they're making good money, they're not making enough to actually buy a home, and in some cases, even to afford an affordable unit, depending on where they're teaching or where they're living. I mean, that's something that we're constantly battling in my district, especially on the coast, the West Coast properties. As we're hiring some good teachers, young teachers, they're commuting in many cases 2-3 hours still to get to work. So I really appreciate you bringing this thing back, and whatever we can do to expedite or provide some subsidies for these folks, I think is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Well, you and I happen to represent the most expensive real estate in California, and that's why we've got to be conscious.
Well, the Bay Area as well, I'm sure.
Lake Tahoe.
One comment.
Yes, please.
Thank you. I also want to thank Mr. Schaefer for hearing on such an important topic. There's just one typo on page 2, fourth paragraph with my last name. It's a E instead of an I, but everything else looks good. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah, we want to make sure that's accurate. And, I wanted to thank you, Member Schaefer, for that presentation. It was very interesting. And we have such a struggle in California when it comes to housing. And it's just so darned expensive. And it's a struggle, when you're trying to raise a family here to afford a home.
We had a home in La Jolla sold recently for $108 million.
Gosh.
That was a big home.
Is that a record?
I think
Is that a state record? I don't know.
There was a Malibu home that sold.
A house sold for $180 million in San Diego.
$108 million. It's just north of La Jolla.
I heard there was one up, well, I know that there was one in Beverly Hills a few years back that was in that neighborhood, that amount. I don't know the exact, but it was a ridiculous amount.
I think there was something in Malibu that cleared 200 million, 220.
That's what I was going to say. I thought it was over 200.
But I mean, regardless, it's big numbers and big houses.
You can build a casino for that.
But it was a great discussion and presentation, so thank you for that. And so do we have a suggested motion or comments? Yes.
Just a quick comment. In the potential areas for future board consideration, I did especially like the support for legislation establishing a fund to assist districts with pre-development funds, because I think that's a common stumbling block in many districts that are willing, but they just don't have the funds.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you. Okay. So do we have a motion to accept the informational hearing report?
I would so move.
Okay. Second. All right. Wonderful. All right. And do we have any written or public comments? Okay. All right. So we'll go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone is on the phone that would like to make a public comment on this item.
If you have a comment, please press 1, then 0. And there are no comments at this time.
Thank you. Member Schaefer has made a motion to accept the informational hearing report. Vice Chair Lieber is providing the second. Ms. Cicchetti, if you could please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber.
Aye.
Member Vasquez.
Aye.
Member Schaefer,
Aye.
Deputy Controller Emron.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. Thank you, members. We'll now move to item 7, and that is the adoption of the September 16th, 2025 board meeting minutes. Members would anyone like to make a motion, or do we need to make any changes to the minutes?
You need a motion to approve?
Yes, unless there's any objections. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll move that we approve the September 16, 2025 board meeting minutes as distributed.
Great, thank you. And do we have a second?
I'd second that.
Okay, great, thank you. And any written comments or, okay, very good, nobody in the audience. We'll now go to the AT&T moderator. If you'd please let us know if anyone is on the telephone line that would like to comment in reference to our meeting minutes.
Please press 1, then 0 for comments. And at this time, there are no comments.
Great, thank you, moderator. Member Vasquez has made a motion to adopt the September 16th, 2025 board meeting minutes with a second provided by Member Schaefer. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber.
Aye.
Member Vasquez.
Aye.
Member Schaefer.
Aye.
Deputy Controller Emron.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. Thank you, members. We'll now move to item 8, and that is the Executive Director's report.
Chair Gaines, while we're doing that, I noticed we have one of our assessor clerks and, I guess county assessor here in the back of the audience is Ms. Camacho from Monterey. I think it's actually
Wonderful.
Sally's assessor.
Thank you, Assessor Camacho, for
Welcome.
joining us. Appreciate it. All right. Ms. Stowers.
Good morning, Chairman Gaines and honorable members. I'm Yvette Stowers, Executive Director. It has been a busy month since the board last met. My report today will provide an update on recent and upcoming events. Members, as you know, on October 6th through the 9th, the California Assessors Association held their annual CAA conference in Orange County. This year's meeting provided another opportunity for collaboration engagement with our partners in property tax administration, the 58 county assessors. Board member offices and agency staff was represented, and many informative topics were presented. I would like to thank the CAA, particularly Orange County Assessor Claude Parrish, for hosting this year's conference and for inviting the BOE to attend and participate. Next, members, I would like to highlight a few important dates on the horizon. The California Society of Enrolled Agents State Tax Agency Liaison Meeting is scheduled for October 29th, 2025. My team and I have been invited to speak on anticipated changes related to property tax. This meeting will be held virtually. Next, members, on November 12th through the 14th, the California Lawyers Association would hold their 2025 annual meeting of the Tax Bar and Tax Policy Conference. BOE Chief Counsel, Mr. Richard Moon, will participate in the Chief Counsel Roundtable panel on Friday, the 14th. And finally, members, as an announcement for upcoming November 19th board meeting. As you know, this board has committed to an annual review of the board's governance policy. In preparation for this item, please submit a memo containing suggested amendments to board proceedings or myself by November 5th to ensure that it's placed on the agenda. I will continue to keep your office up to date on the details of these upcoming events. That concludes my report. My executive management team will provide updates, and I'm available to answer, will provide their updates, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Stowers. Members, any questions? Okay, if we start with Member Sheffer and then Controller Emmerich.
Thank you. Madam Executive Director, do we know how many assessors attended the event in Knott's Berry Farm that was ably hosted by Claude Parrish?
I was not the organizer. No, we do not know.
Oh. Well, there was a good crowd. I saw them all standing on the stairway and a lot of photo taking, and got to meet several of them that I hadn't met before. It was a good event.
Great. Thank you, Member Schaefer. Vice, or Deputy Controller.
Appreciate it.
Emmerich.
I hope to be vice chair one day.
That's right.
But Ms. Stowers, I know at the Tax Bar Policy Conference, we have the Chief Counsel Roundtable. Is there any other BOE participation?
Not at this year's.
Okay.
There is? I'm sorry. Oh, I stand corrected. I haven't been informed. Yes, we will have one other attorney speaking on the panel.
Okay, good to know. Appreciate it. Looking forward to that conference. Thank you.
Okay, other comments? Member Vasquez?
You mentioned, I guess, at the end of the month, you're going to be attending, or several of your staffers might be attending this conference coming up. Are they presenting, or they're just attendees?
Are you talking about the
The 29th, you said the 29th?
That is a virtual.
Oh, it's a virtual.
Virtual, and staff members will include myself, Mr. Young, Mr. Angelo, and Ms. Thompson. Oh, and Ms. Minotti.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Vice Chair, you have any comments?
No, I wasn't able to attend the conference, but appreciate all the participation from staff. And it really is a credit to the BOE that staff participate so well and are so well regarded in their knowledge. And I appreciate that.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Good. We're now going to move to item number 9, Operational Priorities Report and Quarterly Budget Report by Ms. Renati.
Good
You
morning,
okay?
Chairman Gaines
All right.
and honorable members of the board. I am Lisa Renati, Chief Deputy Director, and today I'd like to provide an update on our operational priorities and a report on the agency's current fiscal year budget status. So this quarter, our focus remains on 3 key workforce priorities that are central to our agency's long-term success, and those are recruiting, succession planning, and knowledge transfer. The competition for qualified candidates across state service continues to be strong, especially in our technical and administrative roles. And since our last meeting, we have filled 4 positions. 2 are promotions of internal candidates, and 2 are employees new to the BOE that came from other state agencies. Our remaining vacant positions are in active recruitment, and in addition to our tried and true recruitment efforts, we are refining our job announcements using digital platforms to highlight the value of our public service at BOE, and you may have noticed some of those social media postings recently. As for succession planning, we are preparing for retirements across several classifications. Succession planning remains a top priority for us because we know we've experienced the last wave of retirements back in 2018-19. So each division has identified their key positions and is taking proactive steps to strengthen the continuity of operations. This includes documenting processes, core business activities, reviewing workflows, identifying ways to, more efficient ways of doing things, and also cross-training our staff to do multiple functions. So that way, if they do need to pick up the slack, we can temporarily until we refill those positions. The next thing is knowledge transfer. That's a hard thing when someone walks out the door with decades of experience. So we're making a lot of progress on that. We've had multiple meetings, and divisions are implementing structured programs to document processes, share knowledge, have people shadow people, have people work closely with people, train with others, and we're also developing a digital repository of all that information, so that if you're sitting alone and don't know how to do something, it's on our box drive, as we call it. So you're not sitting alone looking for information, you can find it as needed. And these efforts will also help in our continuity efforts. And together, this really is going to strengthen our workforce and prepare us for the future. And turning now to our financial status, at the close of the first quarter of fiscal year 25-26, I'm pleased to report that we are still under budget. Not surprising, it's only one quarter, right? But our expenditures across personnel, operating expenses, and equipment are tracking in line with projections to spend at least 91% of our budget, which is always a good thing, because that's most of our budget is personnel, so we want to make sure to fill those vacancies. Our fiscal controls and internal monitoring processes continue to be effective, and divisions are managing the resources responsibly while meeting operational needs. And at this time, we are expected to complete the fiscal year with our authorized budget. And in closing, I want to recognize and thank our staff across all divisions for the continued professionalism, teamwork, and dedication. Their commitment allows us to sustain high-quality operations, adapt to change, and support the mission of the board. And also thank you to you, board members, for your continued leadership and support. I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Yes, Mr. Vasquez.
Well, first of all, kudos. I know you've been doing a great job filling these positions, and where are we up to, like 98% now, or pretty close?
I don't think, well, I wish we're at 98%. Technically, we have some vacancies that don't have funding. So I don't count those as vacancies, but, the government does. So
And I guess my
we're about
question-
7%.
And then you mentioned, you're starting to see more folks, I guess, are retiring, and you're losing a lot of institutional memory. How's that going in terms of retraining and training the new staff?
It's a great question and we've been preparing for this. I'm maybe close to my 4th decade at the state, and it goes in cycles, and so you've got to be prepared for it. And so we were unprepared to have the retirement cycle at the same time our agency was reorganized. And so now we're much better prepared, because since that time, our vacancies are few and far between. We fill them as soon as possible, and our staff are just catching up and doing the work. And we have a great staff here to move on. So our knowledge transfer is working. I think we'll be fine. That's famous last words, right? But it is hard to see the very experienced people walk out the door.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Emron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a federal government shutdown, right? And at FTB, we've been seeing IRS workers, I think 47%, 50% are laid off. And we've actually been actively advertising to get some of those IRS workers who may not get rehired or they're furloughed currently. And it's been a quite active campaign. And I've gotten a chance to meet with some of the IRS employees, now FTB employees, and it runs pretty smoothly and kind of welcoming them. And they're really, really happy to be working in a stable environment. And when you talk about that knowledge transfer, even going from federal government taxation to the state government, is pretty seamless. And it's something that we've been doing good, and just kind of throwing it out there. No question or comment, but I think as we try to fill up our ranks, it's something we should definitely look into, because with the environment now, there's a lot of instability. We don't know if these workers are going to go back, and just to have a home here in state government, I think, is important. And we realize these IRS workers are top cream of the crop, so they've actually been really, really good in this transition for FTB, as well as we're planning our succession workforce. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Schaefer, any comments? Are you okay? Great, thank you. I was just curious, have we incorporated any AI in terms of, you talked about institutional memory, and I think you talked about the ability of a new employee to check, I don't know if there's something online or something within your system that may answer questions for a new hire in terms of job role or things like that.
So your question is whether we're using AI to train people or AI in our work? I just want to make sure I clarify.
Actually, any of the above.
So the use of artificial intelligence at the state right now it's in its infancy, and we're very careful about how we're using it with our, because it's only as good as the information you feed into it, and a lot of our information is also confidential, so we can't put information out into the web. So we are working with our service provider to do some closed system testing.
Right.
So we can see how it would work for right now, very benign work, nothing controversial, but we're looking at, in a closed system, feeding the information in and then seeing what AI can do for us. So at this point, we're being very cautious because, again, we have a lot of confidential information and how to keep that. As far as knowledge, our website has a lot of information. We have an intranet page that has a lot of information. So at this point, we're not using AI for training purposes.
Very good.
Yeah,
Thank
just be
you.
careful because the answer is not always correct in AI.
No,
So
that's right.
we like the correct
Still
answer.
refining it, yeah.
How about in terms of customer service? Like if you guys are getting calls and them able to, is there like call times, specific call times, or if are you able to use AI to kind of direct them to where they need to go in terms of property-related matters?
It's a great question for Dave, but I'm going to jump on, try to answer it. We have live people that answer our calls, and I know Lauren's team answers about 10,000 calls a year. Lisa Thompson's group answers calls. So right now, we're using live people to answer those calls and get back to them with the right answers. And so we haven't had the need for AI because every property tax transaction is so, specific that it'd be very hard to have AI make that answer right now and accurate.
How about just collecting information and then taking that information to a live person? So it would slow down the call time.
We do have that right now for our TRA office especially. You can log in and you put your information in so they already know what you have and hopefully your documents. So that, that slowdown, I know, again, stepping on Dave's toes and Lauren's toes. They have online processes for people to submit information so that once the employee gets to start working on it, they already have everything. They don't have to
Okay,
open
Very good.
envelopes.
that's great.
Okay,
Thank
hopefully
you.
I've answered your questions. And Dave, if I was wrong, please correct me. Oh yeah, he's getting up. I was wrong.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Once, David Young, Deputy Director of the Property Tax Department. We do have staff that answers our calls, so we try to give as much as possible a live person to help them out. But we do have on our website a PT request, so if you are able to articulate and type in your questions, then we get a head start on it, and we're able to process a little bit more. We handle a huge volume. Deputy Director Emron, Deputy Controller Emron, in my mind's eye in the future, at some point, I would love the agency to have a chatbot, if not to answer the question, at least to direct them to the right resources. I think that would help. As Ms. Renati already mentioned, we're in the infancy of using AI at some point. That would be a terrific addition to our services.
Absolutely, just in terms of customer service. And a lot of times when members of the public interact with government, it's either through FTB, IRS, or DMV. And a lot of times they get negative impressions. And one thing the state of California has done very well is overhauling the DMV efforts. And they have one of the best chatbots now in the entire country. And call times have gone down, service times have gone up. And it's been a complete transformation. And now you can actually have a positive experience at DMV.
Yeah.
And they've been using a lot of this AI technology. And I think that we can do that across state government as long as we do it in a safe and efficient manner. Thank you.
Absolutely agree. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll move to item 10, Information Technology Modernization Update, presented by Ms. Taylor.
Good afternoon, honorable members. This is Catherine Taylor, Chief of Board Proceedings and Operational Support Services. Today, we wanted to provide a brief update to the board on the BOE's efforts and progress in modernizing our information technology. Over the last 6 years, BOE has assessed and evaluated its programs for process improvement and streamlining. As the board already knows, the County Assessed Properties Division had great success implementing technology for streamlining the welfare exemption program and our training programs. Another area that we have focused on is the State Assessed Properties Division, specifically on modernizing the board role. Since 1996, SAPD has relied on mainframe system to maintain the assessment, valuation, and allocation of property taxes for our state assessees. Unfortunately, the current mainframe system is now functionally obsolete, and the company that created the system no longer supports it. Until now, the BOE has used temporary workarounds, but has experienced numerous occasions where the system has reached near failure. And it is heavily dependent on manual data entry, paper-based documentation, and outdated coding practices. So in December of 2024, BOE formalized its intent to modernize and streamline the State Assessed Properties Division by using the California Department of Technology's Project Approval Lifecycle, or PAL process. This is the process to begin to acquire a new IT system for SAPD. The PAL framework has 4 stages, beginning from the beginning to solution launch. The BOE articulated its primary goal for the project in the first step, the Stage 1 business analysis. We proposed replacing BOE's outdated state assessed properties legacy tax administration system with a modern cloud-based solution to enhance the efficiency, security, and scalability of the state assessments. The new system will integrate automation for better accuracy and compliance, streamline case management, augment data storage, enhance accessibility, reduce operational costs, and ensure seamless processing, ultimately improving the taxpayer services and agency effectiveness. The California Department of Technology received BOE's Stage 1 business analysis on March 6 of 2025. Next, in Stage 2, the alternatives analysis, we defined the business problem faced by SAPD and outlined how this project meets the agency's strategic goals. As part of the Stage 2 analysis, BOE conducted a request for information to gather information from vendors to better understand the technical options available and the possible cost. In addition, the agency developed and submitted a budget change proposal, known as a BCP, for funding the support effort. We submitted our Stage 2 alternatives analysis to the California Department of Technology on July 22nd and submitted our BCP to the Department of Finance on August 28th. We'll receive notification of the acceptance of Stage 2 if our BCP is included with the governor's budget on January 10th, 2026. So until then, it's confidential. While we wait for the approval of Stage 2, agency staff continues to work towards the deliverables that are required for Stage 3. This is a huge undertaking, but an essential and critical need for BOE to continue performing its constitutional and statutory duties. We look forward to providing additional updates to the board as they come. And this concludes my update, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay, Member Vasquez.
I have a whole lot for you here on this one.
All right.
Now, you're changing the host, you're modernizing the host system because the other one has been failing, or I know for the last 4 or 5 years, it's been a challenge in our district office, just with the internet, for example. And things were not compatible. And I know the equipment, while we're modernizing the equipment, the apps, for some reason, are not compatible. And many times I end up just using my own computer because it's such a hassle.
Yes.
And then they constantly ask you for a new password. They're constantly changing it. It's just not user-friendly at all. I'm hoping this new system is going to be able to streamline that process.
Well, that is certainly the goal, is to streamline the effectiveness of the program that is used specifically by the State Assessed Properties Division. If you have a memory of a screen that's black with some blinking lights, that's the type of system that they're currently using. And they use a lot of Excel spreadsheets and other things as workarounds in order to complete the state assessee evaluation process. So yes, that's the goal.
And then it also impacts I didn't realize it was all connected to our printer. We have this printer that has to go through the internet. And
Yes.
Here we are, almost a year later, it's still not up and running.
That's true. Perhaps offline, we can just talk about that specific issue and get that resolved, since it's a little separate from this part of the modernization.
Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair Lieber?
I think it's wonderful that you're continuing to follow through this process, and it sounds like a very sound process that's been laid out. The technology changes are always fraught and difficult, but it seems like this one has some good methodologies to it.
Yes, and I would like to thank our project manager from our service provider, CDTFA. They're doing a great job driving us along in this process.
Thank you.
All right. Deputy Controller Imran.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor, for the presentation. Good to see you up here as well. I didn't catch the project timeline.
The project timeline, we are expecting to implement effective January 1st, 2028 for the lean year 2028.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yes, and Ms. Cicchetti is just distributing a basic timeline, so you can see each stage and where we plan to be.
Excellent. I'm just curious about, because there's been some nightmares with computer conversions with the state of California and probably other bureaucracies across the country, but it seems to me that the Franchise Tax Board has done a good job in terms of their transitioning. Have we been working with them, or are they providing any advice in terms of how we do this, or?
That's a great question. We have not specifically worked with Franchise Tax Board, but during our request for information, we received feedback from a number of vendors, including the vendor that is currently working with FTB. So we have collected some good information from them.
Okay. And how do we get assurances that it will be methodical and will live by the timeline?
I think the assurance is that I will give you that insurance because myself, I'm helping run the project, and Mr. McCool, the chief of SAPD, is highly committed. We probably meet 2-3 times a week on this project. It takes a great effort, and we are committed to finishing it through to the end. However, we do have control agencies such as the Department of Finance and the California Department of Technology that also will either encourage or hinder the project as we go along.
And we've got Yvette Stowers, who was
Yes.
at FTB, so probably experienced some of those transitions in your tenure there. All right, great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. You spoke, I think. Okay, good. All right, members, it's 12:16. Can we agree to taking a 1-hour lunch break? Is that all right? We're good? Okay. So it's 12:16, so we'll be back at 1:16. Thank you.